Good morning, members. I rise today on behalf of the LGBT caucus to speak on this resolution, SR 88, in honor of Harvey Milk Day. Harvey Milk, his birthday was on the 22nd of May, so we've missed it by a few days, but it's never too late to celebrate an icon. Harvey Milk was an icon in the LGBT community. He moved from New York, so like maybe a colleague on our floor, a Jewish guy from the East Coast who decided to come to California, to come to San Francisco, because that's where you could be free. This was in the 70s, folks. Think back to the 70s and what was going on then. And at that time, we had never had an openly LGBTQ person run for office, perhaps run, but never been elected. So when he came to San Francisco, at the height of the LGBT, the Mission District, the Castro was booming, and really started organizing. One of the first examples we can see that really organized in a way that brought different coalitions together based on some of the early work of the farm worker movement or the black rights, the civil rights, the women's rights. They all started in the same kind of way, building those coalitions, building coalitions with people different from you, but focusing on things that we could all agree on. As someone who owns a dog and walks a dog and lives in a neighborhood, I know what it's like to step in something that somebody else's pet left. That was one of his things he campaigned on in the beginning. Like, let's pick it up. And it became resounded with people because it mattered to people. He had a whole campaign of trying to talk to people where they lived, who they were, and how we could all come together. He was also, as I was reflecting on it, one of the first that we've really seen who we have seen this reaction of this rage that comes when people different from us come into positions of power. He was successful in becoming a board of supervisor in 1977, and as you know, he was murdered, he was assassinated sitting at his desk in 1978 by a gentleman who was angry. He was a gentleman who was angry. He was a former police officer and a firefighter, couldn't quite make his living, so he got angry, and he was angry about some of the same things we fight about now, as I look to my colleague from San Francisco, about where and how we should put drug rehabs, where and how we should treat people. And like always, there's going to be pushback. He got angry, he quit. A few days later, he asked to be reinstated. He changed his mind. He was told, no, you quit. And so his rage became so big, his rage at not being able to be his full self, thought it must be the fault of somebody else, and struck out to erase the people that he held accountable for his own shortcomings and that kind of rage of blaming the other, the fear of being replaced and blaming the other. As much as we see, just this last week, as we are burying people right now who were gunned down by somebody who was angry with bullets in a grocery store. As we saw in a church this last week, people were gunned down because people were angry that they were different from them and they felt they were encroaching on their territory. In El Paso, where people were gunned down with bullets. Over and over, we see these examples of people striking out at those who are different from them. Harvey Milk made us all so proud, made us all feel like we could accomplish anything. I was in high school when he was struggling, not quite out, but being able to look to that and see what was possible, to see the power of the coalitions that he brought together that were able to get him elected and really be able to feel that beacon of hope. I don't know about you folks, but this is a hard time to be in office right now. The division bothers me. The vitriol bothers me. I truly feel like we should be public servants and try to give people hope. And that's what Harvey was about. And I know when people come up to me on the street sometimes and they say, you know, what do you think? What do you think? And sometimes I'm afraid in my own heart, right? And I think, can we do it? And I say, we're going to be okay. Yes, we're going to be okay. Because while we might disagree, we are stronger than our differences. And it is more important for us to love and to come together than to be right. And when Harvey Milk said, if a bullet should enter my brain, let that bullet break down every closet door. And I like to think he didn't just mean the closets for those of us who are LGBTQ, but the closets of intolerance, the closets of exclusion, and to open those. And while those goals still aren't quite represented yet, we still have the greatest thing that any of us could ever have to fight back with. We have hope. We have, and I ended up this prayer yesterday. So on behalf of Harvey Milk Day, on behalf of the LGBT caucus, I leave to all of you, as we go forth, as we're servants, as we look for ways to inspire others to rise to their own greatness and possibilities, you have to give the people hope. Hope for a better world. Hope for a better tomorrow. Hope that all will be all right. And you, and you, and you, and you have to give the people hope. I ask you to join me in voting aye and giving the people hope and not fear on SR 88.